So take me away across the ocean, out in the horizon.
So it's 7:30 in the morning and we've just arrived off the ferry onto the other side, so now we're in Gallipoli. Got some example here of trenches. On one side you've got the Turkish soldiers and on the other side you have the Australian and New Zealand soldiers. The reason they've set up this model is to show everybody how close the trenches were, because they were actually, some of them were 8 meters apart, and towards the end of this particular fight in World War I, they started to realise that they weren't each other's enemy. It was really about Germany and Britain, not the Anzac and the Turks. So they actually started helping each other out, and the Turkish people would throw packets of cigarettes over to the Anzacs, and the Anzacs would throw cans of food over to the Turkish people because they knew of the poor conditions and the low food availability for the Turkish soldiers. And then when some were wounded, they would help each other. Here's a model of the island that we're on right now, showing where different troops were in World War I and how many people died. So each one of these here represents a water mine that the Turkish put into the water, and there are 3 over here that actually blew up some of the ships, the British ships.
And here is Anzac Cove, just here. And down here is where they were meant to land. We have reached Anzac Cove. Check it out. So when the troops landed here at the beach, they try and make it to the top of that. Well, that was their goal. And there was machine guns all set up all up there. No. This is a letter that Ataturk, who was a colonel at the time of the war, who then became the first president of Turkey. But he wrote this to all the Australian and New Zealand families, mothers of the soldiers that lost their lives here in Turkey. It's in English, and then there's it down in Turkish there. He wrote that in 1934.
Arrived at one of the cemeteries here at Anzac Cove. Our tour manager said that the amount of headstones you see is not the amount of people who are buried here, it's just the amount of known ones. There's probably hundreds of other people who are actually buried here.
So this site's about less than 100 meters away from Anzac Cove.
We've made it to Lone Pine Cemetery, which is the commemoration for the Australian soldiers.
This is where they lost most of their numbers in the war of Gallipoli.
So over here on the board, what I'm going to show you is hundreds of names of soldiers who died, however they never ever found their bodies. we now?
We're at the Turkish memorial. This is one of the memorials for the 57th Regiment of Turkey, which all of them died, and they don't have that regiment anymore. They go 56 to 58.
So now we've made it to the New Zealand memorial, and it also has some Turkish as well. It's like a bit of a shared one. Brian's walking in the trenches. In honour of the soldiers of the New Zealand Expeditionary Force, 8th of August 1915, from the utmost ends of the earth.
This is the Ataturk statue. This land, or this ground here, was very pivotal in the fight, because it was the highest point in the war, and on that there, it actually explains that Ataturk was in the fight, and he was hit by shrapnel, and he was wearing a pocket watch in his left pocket, and apparently shrapnel hit that and saved his life.
Huh. He later on died of too much alcohol and cigarettes. So the view from here is absolutely beautiful. Through the trees there is this turquoise blue water and lovely coastline, but nobody comes here swimming, obviously, because of what happened here 101 years ago. But it's such a beautiful view.
So I was just walking along these headstones here, and I came up across this here. Which is actually a sown poppy. And Mum, if you're watching this, that could be one of your ones that you sowed.